I came to Servite in 1992. I accepted a job in water polo and swimming, and I ended up teaching summer school before I started. And as soon as the summer, I had a friend of mine who taught at Los Alamitos High School. And he said to me, "You lousy so-and-so." And I go, "Whoa, what do you mean I'm a lousy so-and-so?" "Well, you stole Jerry Smith." And I go, "Oh, okay, yeah, he's one of the new freshmen here," and so forth. But and I really wasn't too tuned in about how Servite recruits from all over the place, or all kinds of kids from all over the place choose to come to Servite. So he was a left-hander for us. And a left-hander in water polo is unbelievably valuable because there's no reason to explain it to you, but he owns the right-hand side of the pool. And Jerry did cause me a little bit of a problem for the 4 years he was there. It was very difficult to get anyone to want to be a goalie because Jerry loved to shoot, and he was an outstanding shooter. And for some reason, and I don't know what it was, many of his shots went right at the goalie's head. So this was a little bit of a problem there, and we, suffered because we couldn't get anyone to get in the goal. At Servite, he was very successful. He was all league for, I believe, 3 of the 4 years. He was all CIF for 3 of the 4 years. More importantly, he was an All-American, and that's also a very multiple times. One of the situations that we had, I remember we went to the finals in Jerry's junior year, and then in Jerry's senior year, we were on our way to the finals. And we were playing a quarterfinal game, and I'd been working with Jerry, a very, very tactical young man, knew what to do at the right time, could read things before they actually happened. Yet we used to say, "Jerry, you're anticipating a ball turnover. Don't kick off the guy. You're going to get kicked out of the game." But this didn't make any difference. So in the quarterfinals, we're sailing along with a nice lead. Jerry pulls back a foot, kicks off this guy, and the referee kicks him out of the game, and he's out of the next game, which was the semifinals. Luckily, the kids came up. We played very well. We moved into the finals, and we lost in the finals. Not any fault of Jerry. I had a very good friend of mine that I'd known for years as a high school coach, named Steve Heaston. And he's about 6'6", but he was about 320 pounds. And he went on to coach at Cal. I coached for 4 years at USC while he was at Cal, and we always had a little deal going. I told him of all the good kids in Southern California, so he could recruit them and they wouldn't go to UCLA. He told me about all the good kids in Northern California, and so I tried to recruit them and they wouldn't go to Stanford. But anyway, Steve called me and said, "Hey, give me the lowdown on Jerry Smith." And I said, "Unbelievable talent, a real pain in the pool. You have to understand what you're dealing with. This guy is unbelievable, can do so many things." But he says, "Hey, don't worry, we'll take care of it." And I don't know how they did it, but between he and Pete Catino, they did a great job, and Jerry was very productive for them. Jerry at Cal, I don't know how he did academically, but he did well enough to become a lawyer, so I guess he did all right. He probably had a much better career, reward-wise, at Cal than he did at Servite. He was 3 times NC2A All-American, 2 times the team captain and most valuable player. He was a member of the U.S. men's national team. Now, this sounds like a great honor, and to be selected for it is, but it is a tremendous burden on anyone that's on that team.
This is truly an honor that I think I can speak on behalf of all the inductees tonight, that has allowed all of us to take a trip down memory lane and remember what was some of our finest memories in our past. Going back 15 to 20 years to remember my days at Servite is not easy to recall, but the one thing I can say is that the older I get, the better I was at water polo. What Coach Sprague didn't mention, though, was that when I came to Servite, I was an awkward 14-year-old kid with limited athletic success, despite the way Coach Sprague set it up, and probably one of the least popular kids at middle school. I left Servite after 4 years, as Coach Sprague said, with a bunch of personal accolades and with my pick of a lot of the best schools in the country to go to. But more importantly, I'd made relationships and learned lessons that would last a lifetime. So the question is, what changed? And so tonight my goal is to tell you 3 lessons that I learned, especially directed to all the young gentlemen that are out here today. One from high school, one from college, and one from what I like to call the real world, which is what's out there afterwards. The first lesson is that you've chosen a great place to go to school, and you better make the most of it. The first thing I learned was from my mom, and she told me that I could achieve absolutely anything that I wanted. She did far more than just drive me to practice, but she instilled that in me in day one. And really, Servite was in lockstep with that, from top to bottom. And the gentleman at the front of that brigade instilling that in my head was the gentleman who inducted me tonight, my coach, Jim Sprague. He is the most decorated water polo coach in the history of high school water polo. He is the #1 and premier developer of individual player talent in our sport. If you want to improve your game in water polo, you got to spend 30 minutes with this guy. And I am indebted to him for my development as a player and as a person. As I got deeper into high school, I developed a phobia that ended up being very, very valuable to me. And it was that I started thinking that after athletics was done, once I knew I'd be successful at sports, that perhaps there was nothing else out there for me. And this was something that stuck with me for a long time and continued to help me drive toward bigger goals outside of athletics. And that fear was exacerbated when I'd go to high school tournaments and I'd see younger gentlemen selling t-shirts and juice supplements out of the back of their truck. And that's all fine, except that these were collegiate All-Americans and these were ex-members of the men's water polo team. And don't get me wrong, there's many different ways to make a buck, and making money is not everything, but I'm guessing that these gentlemen's lives weren't unfolding as perhaps they wanted. Living with this fear was helpful, but there were 2 gentlemen that kept me on focus and taught me that there was more to my student-athlete career at Servite than just athletics. And the first one was my father, who's the smartest man that I ever known. And secondly was somebody who reminded me a lot of him, which is Coach Larry Toner. I immediately gravitated towards Coach Toner. I call him a Renaissance man, and he's somebody who made learning in the classroom cool. But more than anything, he is, and he taught me how to be a gentleman. So I'm indebted to Coach Toner as well. Lesson 2, being an elite athlete in college is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing in that a lot of things come easy, and the perks are great, but it is a curse in that it is really, really easy to lose focus. The truth is that the minute you graduate from college, all your athletic prowess really has been reduced to good cocktail party fodder. And at worst, it's considered some form of arrogance. As I got further away from my college experience, one of the things that saddened me the most was that I was never able to lead my college team to an NCAA championship. However, as I got 5, 6, 7 years out of college, what I realized was that I had really missed an opportunity to compete in the classroom. And I spent 4.5 years flirting with a 3.0 GPA, only 2 after college water polo was done, carry 17 upper division units in pre-law, and get straight A's. It was needless to say that I left a little bit on the table in academics in college. So my advice is, being a student athlete isn't something that comes to you when you enroll in a set of classes and do the bare minimum. It's going at it and being successful at both. So I encourage all you gentlemen in here to take a focus, and it doesn't matter in which order, whether athletics or whether academics is first. There's time to do both, and there's still time to do all the fun stuff afterwards. Last lesson is that in the real world, it's all about relationships. And I was lucky at the Aquatics Awards banquet at Cal to be selected in, or to be pulled aside in kind of an informal tradition by a successful real estate investor who told me that he thought I'd be a good salesperson. And he heard this from his daughter, who wasn't impressed with what I did in the pool, but was impressed that despite my status on campus, I always took the time to take time and talk with her. Initially, I turned down that gentleman's offer, but after 2 weeks, I came back and asked him if the offer still stood. And what changed was that while pursuing the Olympic team, which was the reason I had originally declined, is a tremendous honor, I fast forwarded and I saw myself jumping into the real world with a bunch of kids that were college graduates that I'd be competing with and losing. And needless to say, that didn't sit well with me. And so the moral of the story is know when the party's over. So I'll try and wrap this up, although my ego would prefer that I go on for another 10 minutes or so. Make the most out of your Servite experience, number one. Develop your mind, not just your muscle. And make real lasting connections with people. It'll help you both personally and in the real world as well. So that's it. Thank you again to the athletic department and to the committee that inducted me. That was a tremendous lapse of judgment on your part. But, it is a very tremendous and touching gesture to an old guy like me. Thank you very much.